Oh, hey, you guys beat me here. Did you turn the compressor on? Because I forgot to look when I came in the door, but I'm sure you did because you guys are good at reminding me about stuff like that. Hey, we got parts today. Let's check out what we got.
This is My Cars Shop.
One of the things that I enjoy about the hobby is the hunt for those elusive parts. And well, I ran across some stuff actually a while ago. A friend of mine approached me and said he had some stuff that I might be interested in. And finally connected with him yesterday and brought a couple things home. And he's got a couple other things we're going to talk about in a minute. But let's bring one of the things up here and let you take a look at it, and then we'll talk just a bit about it. I love finding stuff that I didn't even know I needed. He talked to me a while ago and said, hey, he picked up this tunnel ram, and he wanted me to get it from him because he didn't have any use for it, and it was just sitting out in a building that he had. So he happened to be outside my office yesterday when I was heading out for the day, and he said, hey, why don't you follow me out real quick, and we'll get that tunnel ram for you. So here we go. We got it. It's a Y-end. The irony of it is I got this from the same guy that I bought the Edelbrock TR5 that's on my 68 Pro Street Dart. Say that 4 times real fast. Pro Street Dart GTS. I don't know what model Y-end this is, but it's much, much shorter than the one on the GTS. It is for a small block. I was hoping it was going to be for a big block because it could be, used for like phase 1 of the Golden Mullet. But it's a nice little tunnel ram. Needs some work. Needs some good cleanup. So we'll we'll have to do that. Boy, I tell you, it's gotta look at something. I was looking at this as I was talking to you, and I realized that I've not seen a small block intake with an air gap under it like that. So I got to do some digging and find out exactly what this thing is. I got no part number. There is a patent number. I got to do some research on this and find out exactly what this intake is. I'm assuming it's for an LA. I don't know. It looks like an LA pattern. Well, I was just editing the video and I was doing the research on this thing, and you know how, well, let's put it this way. I really truly share things live with you here in the shop and talk what I'm thinking in the moment, and a lot of times, at least for me, I'm assuming it's this way for you too, that what you're thinking in the moment is completely wrong, and I should have clued in, but you don't clue in until you do clue in. When I realized this required a valley pan, as I was searching the web for longer than I care to admit, but it dawned on me, wait a minute, this is a dry intake. There's no water passage. This can't be for a small block. I've never seen a small block intake that was dry because, well, it can't because there's water passages in the heads. This is a big block. And I did the research on it and discovered that, yes, indeed, this is for a B engine, which means it's a 383, 400, 361 intake. So we have a 413, 426 over there, and over there we have a 440, and I kind of did some calculating in my head and realized, I bet you there are, and I knew there were, 1-inch spacers that you can use to put this intake on that motor. So I dug up one of the heads for the 426 and lined it up. The bolt holes line up perfectly. And if you put a 1-inch spacer in there, that will be it. So this is a B engine, and all it takes is either machining it ourselves, which is very likely what we'll do because that's what we do around here, or $200 or so for a spacer kit, or we'll look online and find a used set. But 100% big block. Yes! I could just imagine how many of you were going, no, you idiot, that's not a small block, that's a big block. It takes a valley pan. I could hear it. It's okay, you can laugh at me. It's okay. I was kind of laughing at me too. Like I said, heat of the moment, just sharing things as I figure them out. And sometimes I look at something and know what it is immediately, and other times I get a brain fart. We will return you to a regularly scheduled program after a brief word from our sponsor. Don't forget to get your merchandise. Go over to the Etsy store, etsy.com, and search for Schultz Sign Company, and then within Schultz Sign Company, search for MKS. And we also want to thank all of the sponsors of our channel. We now return you to your regularly scheduled maintenance. While I was there, he happened to mention that he had some parts for stitches, and he's thinking about price on a couple things that he has, but I did pick up one thing that I wanted to share with you guys. I haven't even really looked at it myself yet, but it is a front valance. Super rusty, perfect for this car, front valance. If you remember the one that I have for stitches, it's a pretzel. I was going to straighten it all out. This one, it needs some work, don't get me wrong, but hopefully less work than the one upstairs. So let's do a quick, let's see what we can salvage, if this is even salvageable, or if we're going to take the two and make them one flesh. Before I get into it too far, which I haven't gotten into it at all, but I wanted you to see what it's like. It's, it's really rusted and cracked up in here across the top, and it's got some really nasty, crusty scalies in here. And the other side is really bad. Also, the building that these parts are in, the roof caved in, and it's just been out in the elements. It was actually sitting on a shelf just like that, holding water. So I'm really leery of if there's even any material left in there, but we're going to do a quickie on it and get it cleaned up, and we'll see what we got. So here's what we got. Lots of holes, lots of holes, lots and lots of holes. Can we use any of this? Yeah, I think we can. We got more cleanup to do, but you can see we got Swiss cheese in here. So this part is, it's perfect for stitches. It needs a lot of fabrication and repair. Now what we'll do is we'll just go on the back side and we'll just fill it full of spray foam. And then we'll just paint it and it'll be fine. Maybe we should media blast it. Now some of you guys remember that I actually have one of these that came with stitches. So you may be saying, well, this one's a lot worse than the one you have. Why do you think about using this one? Well, let's talk about that. So there's the one I have. This one at least is in the right form. That one's fixable. Anything's fixable within reason. That one's got a lot less rust. This one's got a lot more rust, but it isn't bent. Let's see. We actually need to be comparing apples to apples here. There we go. Okay, there we go. That's kind of, this one still has the hood latch assembly on it, so it's not going to lay exactly the same, but close enough for what we're doing right now. So potentially we could section that centerpiece out over to here and put that into this one. We could just section a piece into this one and a piece into this one. We could throw all of it out and get a different one. We're not going to do that. But what I'm doing is I'm looking at this saying, okay, these are the parts that I have. What makes the most sense as we move forward? And my intention is to just evaluate. When I get a new part, this is often what I do, is I need to get a feel for what it's like so that I can start the process of thinking about it until I get to it to know exactly what I want to do moving forward. I want to be clear that not every day in the shop is about accomplishing huge projects or even taking bites out of a project like we've been doing on stitches. I actually haven't worked on that car for a while because my time's been consumed with this truck and the Oakland, and we're going to be back on this pretty soon. But I've actually done some work, not physical work, but done some cogitating work on the Duster and making some decisions on that as well. But we'll get to that in a bit. But here's what I'm thinking is, so that since I have this, I don't think I'm going to do anything with that. I think this is going to be fairly fixable, and I'm going to do it in a couple of pieces. This is one of the reasons, and I get a lot of crap for this from some people once in a while, but this is one of the reasons why I don't media blast stuff. If I was to media blast this thing would be gone. There'd be nothing for me to work with. And that's great. If you're just going to go out and buy parts, who cares? That's not what I do. I fix stuff that other people wouldn't mess with. I like doing that. That's why I do it, as most of you know. But as I've looked at this, I think what makes the most sense, there's no crown in this except in the middle. There's like almost a line right here. And I've got to look at some pictures of some Challengers, but there's almost a hard line right here. So my thought is we'll split it in half, okay? But we're not going to do that until we determine what we're going to replace. And I personally think that replacing the metal from about here and just doing one whole piece and then coming to the center and up, and we'll put that one in, and we will do this as a cut and butt, because that way everything stays exactly in the same spot and nothing moves. Once that one's done, then we can come over here and do another piece in this ish area. We'll fabricate that up. We can bend it up on the pipe anvil, and then we'll put that piece in. Then we'll just have one weld seam down the middle, and of course a weld seam here and a weld seam here, and this will be a pretty solid piece. Yes, we have a little trickery on the back we're going to have to deal with. I'm not too concerned about that. We will do a bunch of dimensioning and figuring all that stuff out. I'm hoping we don't have to get into like this one and this one. I don't think we will if we cut this metal properly. This is still pretty solid down here, so we can work around that maybe. I'm just thinking on my feet here. So that's kind of the plan. That's why I'm doing this, is just to look it over and say, okay, it's a lot worse than I expected, which is what I expected because the whole backside was full. And if we cleaned this up back here, I guarantee there's going to be even more holes. But I don't want too many holes because I need material to work with to fabricate. And doing the cut and butt, making this piece wherever I'm going to join it in, and then just cutting and butting that right in, perfectly flush when it's done. It's just the curve this way. There's no curvature in this way that I can feel. I don't think there is, so I don't need to worry too much about like running that in an English wheel and trying to get some kind of an arc in there. This will be an easy piece to make. Cut it in, and even if it's not perfectly contoured like factory, is anybody going to notice it? Is anybody going to care because it's down under the car anyway? But I don't think there's any curvature in this way at all. It feels like there's no crown other than this, like this seaming line right in here. And I've got to look at some pictures. I got one right there actually, but there's a license plate in the way. We'll get online and look at some pictures of a Challenger just to be sure. But I feel a pretty hard line right here. So I'm guessing that right in here there is a crease anyway that makes this like this. This is going to be a fun little project, and I'm looking forward to definitely working on this and getting this done. This may be just a little bunny trail that we take one day, one weekend or whatever, after we're done painting the truck, and just a fun project to chip away at. I can't put it on the car, obviously, because it's on the rotisserie and the fenders aren't on, but you know, it is what it is. But kind of cool. I'm glad it's in the shape it's in, actually. One of you guys do me a favor and grab that balance off the back wall. If you remember, we've kind of been down this path already where I took this beat up valance off the back of the car that was bent up and rusted, dented, and it was a non-cutout. And we're not done with it by any means, but we did go ahead and make it a cutout style rear valance, and we had test fitted it to the car. It's just rough. We know that. It's got a lot of work to be done to it yet, but you know, just wanted to remind you that this isn't our first rodeo on this car with a project like that, because I wanted to dual cutout openings in there, and this has all of that. And we're going to make our own custom exhaust tips to fit this. And, well, there's work to be done. We know that. It's just rough. But wanted you to see that, just to remind you. If you haven't seen that, you can go check that episode out. We still got some, you know, stuff to straighten out on there. He had one of these too. It's probably in about the same shape. His was a cutout, but I thought, no, I've already fabricated this, and this project is about fabrication. So This is a perfect part as far as I'm concerned for this project. A couple of other parts that he has that I haven't gotten yet. He's thinking about price. They're going to be probably in a little better shape than that, but we don't know. But he does have an RT hood, and he has a deck lid. I don't know if the deck lid he has is any better than the one I have, but we'll look at it. He also has a set of hood hinges. I don't have a set of hood hinges for this. He thinks he does because he took the hood off of his car. Somebody had sandblasted some spots on the hood and warped it, and he just went ahead and put a fiberglass on. So I don't think he has the hinges on it. He's pretty sure he has those. So that's my hope, is that it'll be pretty inexpensive and we'll be able to pick up that hood, and that's a perfect project. We'll either repair those sandblasted parts or cut them out and replace some of the metal on the hood. That's a bit dodgy, but we'll see. So I'm excited about that as well. I'll keep you posted on that as that unfolds. There's no big rush on that, but timing wise, it's not the best for me anyway financially. So it's been a rough couple months, but anyway, not whining, just saying that's the reality of things. So so I'm pretty excited about that, and I'm looking forward to bringing that thing home, hopefully, and setting it on the car here, and for the first time since I've owned it, actually seeing a hood on this car. Underneath this storage shelf, which this is what it's become, is the deck lid that came with this car. It's fixable. The problem I have with it is, well, it's got a bunch of holes drilled in it for a luggage rack, which is fine, but it is so full of rust on the inside. It sounds like a maraca. I plan to just cut it apart and fix it, but if the one he has is a little bit better and just needs some minor repair and the price is reasonable, I may go ahead and pick that up. If that hood comes through, then I believe the only major components that I'm lacking for this car would be the front bumper brackets, the front bumper, and a grill. I think we have all of the major components. I was telling Becky last night, I'm actually kind of excited because as much work as there still is to do on that car, there's a ton of work before I can take it off of the rotisserie. I'm starting to see, just a pinhole of light down there at the end of the tunnel that maybe in the next 4 to 6 months, we'll have that car off. I was hoping to have it off this spring, but this truck has taken me a lot longer, and we've had other challenges in life we've been dealing with, and I just haven't had time to work on stuff like I normally would. So that's the reality. We have these great plans, and then life happens, and that's the way it goes. Just a little bit more work to do on the floor to wrap stuff up. We got a trunk floor that a channel viewer donated, so we can throw that in. It's close, and then we can really start concentrating on the bottom side and getting that all cleaned up and ready for the lizard skin. And we need to finish up the roof. We haven't cleaned it on the inside yet, and there's still some stripping to do on the outside. I want to get that done while it's on the rotisserie, and I want to get the engine compartment done while it's on the rotisserie. So anytime you guys are out here, if you would, just grab a sander or a grinder or a wire brush and just hit those spots, and maybe we'll get it done sooner is what I'm trying to say. That's going to do it for this one. We will catch you on the next one. I appreciate you guys more than I could ever say. And don't forget, because it's important, rock!